cut off all my hair. Did it myself, grabbed a scissors and just started cutting. I like it. Yep, just went retard mode and said, I just got done cleaning my house, but last night went to the gym, kicked my ass. I was just so tired today. I need a little boost. Last time you're gonna see me looking over here a little bit more if you're watching this, and if you watched the last one. Last time I did a video journal, I don't think I actually explained, or I did so many takes that the part where I explained didn't actually end up in the video I posted. But yeah, I saw somebody talking about you should do video journals. You should record yourself talking, both as a means of journaling if you don't want to write. Which I do it. I do a typed journal on my computer as well, but also just to get used to like expressing your thoughts in a fluid way, and maybe also just to improve your speaking skills in general. I could benefit from that. I use a lot of filler words, and I'm always looking to improve my storytelling. I feel like it's part of my social repertoire, being able to tell stories, and you should never stop improving at the things that you love about yourself, if possible. Holy cow, that's hot. I can hear my cat down there fucking around. She likes to play fetch with this little thing. She brings it to me sometimes, so I'm gonna have to throw that for a couple of times here. But yeah, this time trying to be a little more focused. So I have, a few things for my written journal here that I want to practice speaking aloud about. And like last time, don't really care who watches this. Still trying to embrace being more cringe. Still trying to embrace, I don't know, like just the way I look at life is changing every day. In the midst of my turmoil, of course, and in the midst of the things I'm going through, it's like, holy cow, I gotta do something about this wobbling at some point. But yeah, I went retard mode. I cut my hair off. You couldn't really tell in the last video because I had it kind of slicked back behind the headphones, which I'm not wearing this time. I just wanted it to be shorter. It was getting in my eyes at the gym. It was getting sweaty and gross and like hitting the side. I just didn't like the way it looked. And, I kept it long because my ex liked my hair longer. But, if she leaves, she can take my hair with her. I like it like this for now. And, yeah, speaking of the gym, which I know I keep talking about it, and it's sort of like a lame talking point that every guy who's going through some shit talks on, but like, it's one of the things keeping me going right now. It's one of the things keeping me inspired and one of the things I feel good about. But I was on the little stair stepper. I can't do the treadmills because my feet are all fucked up. I was on the stair stepper trying to push past my wall, and this was at like 2 a.m. I had a busy day. I had worked, all that kind of stuff. So I'm there at like 2 a.m, and there's only a handful of people in the gym. And I see this guy across the gym. He finishes. He's doing some pull downs. Oh my goodness, this cat is going sicko mode down there. And then when he's done with his rep, I see him. He has his, doing all that. And I'm on the stair stepper, and without thinking, I'm like, look at this dude. Why? Why did I? In my head, my first, I was like, this guy just wants attention. I'm like, bro, he's in the gym at 2 a.m. Who does he want attention from? Fucking me? My fat ass on the stair stepper? No. He probably felt great from hitting a good rep. Probably had some music he really loved in. And he just... And I went... As I took that thought captive, right? And instead of overthinking it or like trying to find... Because, dude, whenever you haven't been living in freedom, you become conditioned to hate people who are living in freedom. And when I took that thought captive, I took that judgment captive and really looked at it, I was like, man, maybe instead of judging this guy, I should be learning from him. Learning from the fact that he's last time I talked about, you know, going to the gym takes discipline if you don't love going to the gym. But if you, or anything, but just since we're talking about the gym, but when you're doing something and you love it, when you're doing something and you've incorporated it into your identity, it doesn't take the same amount of like emotional energy to get yourself there, to do it. And dude, we should all be so lucky. We should all be so lucky as to we finish a set and we feel like dancing. We have enough energy left over to. So what I did, instead of judging him, I first thing I did was I unironically I told God, I was like, hey, my fault, not my place to judge that guy. He's just here trying to get a set in. Who knows what he's going through? But later on, after I do cardio first, and I was doing upper arms as per usual, trying to be a little shit brick house, hitting some goo goo goo, and man, I went up in weight on this one exercise I do, and afterwards I hit a little, you know what I mean? And I probably looked dumb as hell, but dude, it made me feel so good. It's like when you eat a good meal, and doubly so if you're Italian family like me, but like you eat a good meal around the kitchen type shit, especially when you were a kid. Mom would make spaghetti al carbonara, all the kids around the table, jigging. Yeah, dude, it's like that. You hit a good set. It's like a bite of a delicious meal. It's satisfying, It fills you up. You gotta celebrate it a little bit. Because, accomplishing something, much like eating a really good meal, a really good home-cooked meal, it's an expression of life. And an expression of life should be celebrated through dance or otherwise. So that's something that that I just reflected on a little bit and that I learned. Yeah, it's been a weird few days on the relationship front because I still have not heard from the woman who I was very recently calling my wife, from the woman that I love. I've not heard from her, and when I have, it's just been about logistical things. Can I come grab this? Can I come grab this? Yeah, like, there's a part of me that knows that if I rewinded a few years back and was going through the same thing, that I would just be crashing the fuck out. I'd be up late at night obsessing over, oh, where is she? Who's she with? What's she doing? Is she cheating? Oh my god, is she coming back? And like, don't get me wrong, like, some of those thoughts are to some degree a little inevitable. But man, you can't crash out. And easier said than done, I understand. It's a natural, it's a response. It's not, you don't choose to crash out, hopefully. But it's just about, maintaining control over the things you can change. The more you focus on those things, the easier it becomes to accept the outer shell of things you can't change. I can't change the way that she feels about me, but I can change the way I feel about myself. So when I start having those thoughts about, I wonder if she still loves me. I wonder if she thinks that I'm like a loser or something. I wonder if she's... You shut the thought off. Go retard. And instead you start thinking about, what do you think about yourself? Man, a few weeks ago, there was nothing I had in my day-to-day life that I would have been that proud of. But today, I woke up, made myself some breakfast, cleaned my house, you know what I mean, went to the gym, fucking did my video journal, whatever the case might be. You kick some ass and you think to yourself, like, I'm a go-getter. I'm athletic, I'm calm. I'm not blown about by the winds of emotions, even if I'm battered by them, if that makes sense. Because what the fuck are you going to do? What are you going to do? You going to crash out? It's like how they say that hatred, or really, they say it about hatred, but it's true for a lot of negative emotions you feel towards somebody that you can't affect. Like hatred is drinking poison, expecting someone else to die. fretting constantly over somebody else's thoughts or somebody else's actions. It's drinking poison. It's wishing poison upon them and drinking it for yourself. And I'm not drinking poison in 2026, not as much as I can help it. I think that like day-to-day life between, social, not trying to get red pill on you guys, but like social media and just like the news. I mean, your whole life pretty much, if you're online, is you against your will being fed knowledge about horrible things that you can in no way influence, and then being told to be outraged about them. And it becomes so normal that it feels weird not to do it. Oh, this city got hit by a missile. Oh, Donald Trump said something crazy. Oh, Kanye West is off his meds again, and he was saying some anti-Semitic shit, and I don't even know like what's on the news right now. Some celebrity that I haven't thought about in 6 years died. Dude, honestly, shut that shit off. I don't give a fuck. I really don't. I have got my own life I have to live. And you spend so much time being conditioned to worry about things you can't control, they start taking the control away from you. And you can't get that control back. If you're putting all your energy into this outer circle of I can't control shit, you're wasting all your energy like a fucking bird smashing into a window. Focus on this. Build your nest. Spread your wings. Yeah, and people don't want to hear this. You're all too political. Everyone's too political. Everyone cares way too much. It sucks, sure, yeah, but like, vote if you believe in that. Vote if you believe in that. Campaign if you believe in that. But, dude, I used to be very political, and I know people who are very political to this day. And what happens is people get so wrapped up in politics that it shapes your brain. This happened to me before. This is how my life used to be. I was so wrapped up in politics and always keeping up with it that it was almost unconscionable, unfathomable to me that there were people who didn't care, or that it wasn't as big a deal to anybody else. I couldn't even get my head around something like that. To the point where, in my mind, I was so fucking brainwashed and so fucking conditioned that to me, the people who didn't care about politics were actually the normies, and I was woke. I was woke, and they were normies. I had it all backwards. Keeping up with politics isn't woke. You know why? Because everyone fucking is doing that. That's what they want you to do. Look, live your life. And I'm not going to judge you, but I will judge myself because I have to answer to myself in the future. And I made myself miserable by trying to keep up with politics. Didn't make me happier, didn't make my life more full, didn't make me a better man. I had to do away with it. And I think that's a part of the reason why I've been able to resist the natural urge to crash out when bad things are happening and she's not around. You know what I mean? Sorry about the shaking camera. I maybe could control that. Anyway, you have to start choosing to have some peace in your life. And you have to choose, like, you have to sacrifice something to get that. Everything good costs something. But a lot of times the thing that you would pay to buy the good thing is actually something that you didn't know was bad. Keeping up with politics, making yourself neurotic, you can give that away for some peace. That's a really fucking good trade. And if you don't take it, you're a moron. You're Nico Harrison pilled. I've spent a lot of time this week, the last few days, since my last video especially, with some good friends. Thank God, dude. Thank God I have good friends. If you don't have good friends, especially if you're a guy, and I don't say that to say anything disparaging about women. I can't speak for women. I don't know. Probably this is true for women too, but I'm speaking specifically to guys. Like, if you know good people, men or women, but especially men, if you have good people that you know, you should be fighting like hell to be either building or maintaining your friendship with them. The kind of people I just think about like people who were at my wedding, like my groomsmen. Every single groomsman has been fucking amazing. They've been like supportive. They haven't been overbearing. They haven't been fucking pitying me. You know what I mean? They've been asking questions. They hope for the best. They prep me for the worst. Like they're solid fucking dudes. It's some people on the other side of the bridal party that I don't know. I don't know how much they stood up for the marriage. You know what I mean? And it reminds me of this Chance the Rapper lyric from kind of a throwaway song, if I remember correctly. Maybe I'm wrong, but he says, "I don't want people in my wedding that aren't going to be there for my marriage." Dude, I wish I had listened. I didn't know. You never know. But yeah, there's people around who, they got the free food, they got the free wine, and then when push came to shove, and you know, my wife talked to them and said, "I'm thinking about leaving," they didn't say, "No, you should fight for your marriage." Even if you feel like he's letting you down, if you feel like whatever, marriage is sacred. But they didn't do that. They said, "Thanks for the free wine. Leave him, girl." I don't know. I don't know if they said that, but maybe that's copium. It's probably copium. They sure haven't said shit to me, and I can't be bitter about it. Everyone has their own life to live. It's not a comfortable position to be in, I'm sure. So I'm not mad at them. I know just made it sound like I did. Um, but it is what it is. The point is though, if you know good people, if you see good people, if there's somebody you admire, especially who's a peer, like you should be. If you don't have, even if you do have good friends already, like the difference. I don't know. I think of like great people, like guys that I've looked up to in my life, older guys. They have like good friends. There's always a group. There's always a trio, a pair. And man, I one thing that I've never had to work that hard about, it's just something that's always been naturally instilled in me, is I gravitate towards people like that. If I see like loyalty, integrity, goodness, especially like in a dude, I want that guy around. Bro, let's go get lunch. Bro, let's go hike. Let's go, to a bar. Let's go like hang out. Ingratiate yourself with them. Listen to what they have to say. That's another thing I was actually wanting to talk about because it's something that I've been working on for longer than the last 2-3 weeks, but especially recently is just like me realizing me putting importance on what people are saying more. Being a good listener, I guess, is the best way to put it. But more specifically, like everyone's always waiting to speak. And there is value sometimes in what you have to say, for sure. It definitely feels that way, even if it's not always true. But one of the greatest values in a conversation is how much you gain from making somebody feel heard, making you feel special, and for yourself for internalizing the information they're giving you. I'm really bad about remembering names of people I haven't met. If you tell me a story and you introduce, so we were there with this guy's cousin, Shane. I'm not gonna, by the end of the story, you're gonna say, and then Shane said this. I'm gonna say, who's Shane? They're gonna say, his cousin. And I like have come to realize, like, I have one of my best friends in the whole world who I've been friends with since 4th grade, 5th grade. And he has 3 kids now. And it has taken me years to learn these kids' names. And it's not because I don't care. I'm super happy for him. His kids seem great. He's a great father. He's someone I look up to a lot. He's a doctor. He's a kick-ass guy. But why, like, he's told me his kids' names. I hadn't met them yet at that point, but yeah, it's, I just wasn't being a good listener. I wasn't internalizing that information, even if it's hard for me. And I think maybe part of it is just because I maybe feel a little too self-important, like what I have to say is so important. And you know what? Everyone does have something important to say. The thing is, you don't know who it's going to be important to. And that's why something like this, as cringe as it is awesome, at least for me. Because a lot of these thoughts that I have kind of bouncing around in my head, it just feels good to say them. It doesn't actually, I've found, matter who hears them. Does it matter if my friend with 3 kids hears that I'm a retard? He doesn't need to hear it, but I need to say it. This is great, and it's made me a better listener. I think it's making me a better listener. But what I have found, when I go in intentionally listening, intentionally asking questions that pertain to what the person is telling me about, I went and had dinner with a good buddy of mine and his wife, they were asking me about the breakup and stuff, and you just being really sweet, but like not being too pushy. Man, when I did two things, and one of them is the thing I'm talking about. I just listened to what they were saying, and if they were giving me advice, I said thanks for the advice. I saw something recently that one of the quickest way to ingratiate yourselves with somebody is to ask them for advice, or if they give you advice, to acknowledge it. More than like feeling heard, people want to feel like you value their opinions, which is why they want to feel heard. And not to say that I'm being manipulative. It was good advice, a lot of it. And in fact, I got a lot of insight, especially from my friend's wife, who I think it's almost a shame I haven't gotten to know her better before. I know her, I've known her for years, but I just feel like I've never had a conversation with her like that before, if that makes sense. And she actually had a lot of good stuff to say to a young retard like me. Not that young, 30, by the way, still fat also, but working on it. Not getting younger, but I am getting skinnier. No, but and the other thing is, and you have to be careful about this. You have to know yourself and have some self awareness. But you have to. I actually found my filter was up too high. I turned it down a little bit. Now I'm not saying go say slurs and shit. I know I'm saying retard all the time, but I feel like as an autistic person, that's our word. But yeah, that was fucking stupid. But I even like with my emotions and my thoughts. There's so much internal dialogue of should I say this? Is this going to be too much? Or should I share this emotion? And blah blah blah. Dude, if you feel like it's something you want to say, if you feel like if it's information you want feedback on or you want to share, you just spit that shit out, cuzzo. I was doing that. That in combination with listening when someone's talking and asking questions also about what they're talking about, it led to some of the best conversation I've had. These are people I've known for years. This guy, like I said, I didn't know his wife as well as I wish I had this whole time, but the guy's like, he's one of my closest friends of all time. Similar kind of situation to this doctor guy I was talking about. It's a guy I've known for a long time, very loyal, very good person. But even so, it had to have been one of the top 5 conversations I've ever had with that man. And it wasn't because he was being more or less charismatic or interesting or, you know, it wasn't the environment. It was just the way I chose to approach the conversation, I guess. And it's a valuable lesson to learn. Social maxing. Yeah, it's actually crazy. You can, as much as you can overthink your way out of being happy, you can overthink your way out of good conversation. As an example, one of the reasons in the past, excuse me, I maybe haven't been able to connect with this guy's wife as well is because I had preconceived notions about the kind of things she liked and the kind of things she liked to talk about and felt that I didn't have much to offer in the way of that. Well, if she says something that I can't necessarily relate to, that's actually a great time to ask a question. Because it doesn't matter if I relate to it. She can tell that I at least want to. But the other thing that I realized is by kind of like that guy in the gym who I had this judgment about him, when I switched that judgment off about her, instead of thinking like, oh, what would be a way to put this that she would appreciate, I just said, yeah, I'm retard maxing. Yeah, I'm going to the gym and I cut my hair off, and even though I'm sad, I'm happy at the same time. And I'm in this weird dichotomy where it feels like, I should be acting a certain way, but instead it feels like God's pulling me to act a different way. And she was so receptive towards it because it was true and because there was conviction in it. It didn't matter that, I don't know, that it was presented in a way that I feel like you know what I'm trying to say. And if you don't, then maybe that lesson's going to be lost on you no matter what. I've been touching grass, grabbing leaves, pulling grass out of the ground and feeling it whenever I go on walks. I don't know if it does anything, but it sure feels like it does. If it's a placebo, it's a damn good one. Smelling the fresh air. My wife took the dog. My ex-wife took the dog, I guess if you want to put it that way. Still hard to, get used to saying. But, yeah, so I used to be going on multiple walks a day with my dog, and I just go by myself, touch some grass. You have to go outside. Yeah, obviously that's not groundbreaking advice or anything, or a groundbreaking revelation, so I guess I don't need to dwell on that too much, but I've just been thinking about guys like me who maybe have a sort of inclination or a bend towards self-improvement, especially in periods of grief. I think there's a tendency to lean into certain concepts that maybe seem attractive when you're in a certain state of mind, but aren't actually sustainable. This is the David Goggins type shit that I was talking about before. Who's going to carry the boats type bullshit. Like, and there's some value and stuff like that, sure, but I don't think you can prop up a life on that kind of mentality unless you're literally the guy doing it, like David Goggins. You don't, dude. I'm gonna tell you, you don't want to actually be that guy. You think you do, but it's just being brainwashed on the other side. Instead of CNN, it's some fucking weirdo who wants to sell you a course. Walk away. But a big thing they talk about is self-denial. Embrace the suck, you know. I actually think that's overrated. And now, with a caveat, self-denial is important to a degree. And in fact, I've been practicing a good amount myself here recently. But you, and this is something I'm probably going to get into more in a future thing because I'm still kind of ruminating on these thoughts, but I've been thinking about this idea that like you have like multiple voices inside of you that all have to be heard. And the more you self-deny, the more you're silencing some of these voices. And the longer you silence these voices, eventually they will get heard. And the longer they've been silenced and the more they've been repressed, the more they will speak out against you and take control. So there is some negotiation with yourself that's going on. So if in a day, let's say that you want to do the whole 9, self-improvement, you're going to start waking up early, do water in the morning, drink a big old glass of water. You're going to go to the gym, go do some cardio. You're going to do breathing exercises, meditation, yada, yada, yada. You're going to do the whole thing, cutting out junk food, going on a diet. You're going to, stop gooning, get off social media. I wouldn't advise it. You can pick a couple and also be willing to let yourself fail. That's another important one. But maybe some of y'all's parents have said this to you, or maybe you've heard this about, as a joke, but like they say, don't break more than one law at the same time. If you have a gun in your car, don't speed. If you're, I don't know, smoking weed, don't kill somebody. Oh, no shit. But you know what I'm saying. Don't stack the malices on top of each other. Don't debuff yourself too much. You're not ready for it, and you're also not built for it. Change is gradual, and you owe it to yourself to be patient with yourself, especially if you expect people to be patient with you in your life. You have to expect it from yourself. So, with self-denial, a perfect example. Today, so I actually was supposed to clean my house yesterday, and I didn't do it. Because work went longer than I thought it was going to be, and then I had plans with friends, and then I ended up having a really good conversation with a good friend of mine last night over some dinner, and it went until like 2 a.m, and then I went home and then went to the gym again just to like keep my mind busy because I was starting to stress a little bit about stuff I couldn't control. Took a shower. It was like 4 a.m. by the time I went to sleep, which maybe not healthy, but that's just what happened. And there wasn't space in the day to do the cleaning. So today, I didn't want to clean again. And I decided to deny that part of myself that wanted to relax today. I said, no, you're not going to relax today, but enjoy a nice glass of coffee. More creamer than I should have put, I'm on medication that kind of increases my heart rate a little without getting too specific, and coffee on top of that. It's not dangerous necessarily, or I hope it's not, but like, probably shouldn't do it too often. And I don't, but that's what I'm talking about. Like, I could sit here and say, sorry, I should have that silence, but I can sit here and say, you can't relax today. You can't drink your coffee. Let's say that I was tired and didn't want to go to the gym. Like, you have to go to the gym anyway. You XYZ. Dude, what, do you hate yourself? Are you going to let someone else do that to you? On purpose anyway? Maybe you're doing it on accident. I there's this thought that keeps coming into my head. Is like, why would I treat myself worse than I would let somebody else treat me? I would not let somebody deny everything I wanted in a day. I would not let somebody force me to do a bunch of shit I hated in a day. Maybe if I really needed the money, I would. That's called work. But like, it doesn't have to be. But it is right now for me, and probably for a lot of people out there. But you have to be. And here's something. If you are like trying to be like extra masculine and whatever, I'm just gonna tell you, you can be kind to yourself without being soft. There's a way to be kind to yourself that is still rugged and masculine. And not that even masculine has to be rugged necessarily. I don't actually think that at all, if you can't tell by the fact of my soft features and the Pokemon shit behind me. But the point is, like, you don't have to shave your edges off to be kind to yourself. You know, sharpen your knife, let it rest in the sheath for a day, polish the handle. Weird analogy. The thing is, you're going to be tired from something. And if you're going to be tired, you might as well be tired for yourself and not for somebody else. You might as well be tired chasing after things you love, and you might as well be tired living a life you enjoy while also pursuing a life you could enjoy more. It's like how David Ramsey, and I don't know that much about David Ramsey. Maybe some of his advice is bullshit, but a lot of folks don't think so. But one thing I do know that he says that I actually do agree with is a concept that you have to pay yourself. Let's say you're saving up, or you're putting aside X amount of money every month trying to get out of credit card debt, and you're trying to pay your bills and all that. At some point, you have to spend some money on yourself. You have to reward yourself for the work you've been doing to get that money, or you will not be able to keep going. What I'm saying is the same thing, but emotionally. Emotionally, you have to pay yourself. You have to give yourself a break because you've been working so hard. If you have been, if indeed you have been working so hard, which hopefully you have, towards something, towards self-improvement, towards a goal, chasing after your inner child, experiencing the world, being curious, being cringe, being retarded, all that. I've been the other day, I've just been trying to silence my inner dialogue to some extent. Not silence the voices inside me. That's a different thing. That's the thing I was alluding to earlier. But if I'm standing in the mirror, I actually did this. I actually told myself I wasn't going to put this in this video. And here I am. So I was standing in the mirror and I was arguing with myself about whether I was going to go to the gym for a second time in the same day. And I'm just like I'm like hearing out the voices. Oh, you might be like more sore. You might not be able to go tomorrow. You might, blah, blah, blah. It might disrupt your sleep a little bit, this and that. As I'm going back and forth, I'm starting to have analysis paralysis. And I look in the mirror and go, "Boo!" Like that. "Boo!" I do that exactly. Stop, kill switch the whole conversation in my head, put on my shoes and walk out the door. And I go to the gym. And thank God I had the wherewithal to stop that conversation and just to go. And I've been maybe not physically doing that every time I'm having such a conversation, but just doing it mentally. I start thinking about just whatever it might be, some bullshit in the news, or thinking about what if I'm gonna be alone for a long time, or what if I have to start dating again in my 30s? It's in my head. But hey, maybe you will. Maybe you won't. Maybe, who knows what's gonna happen? The future can worry about itself. God is good to provide. So I think that I didn't write this down, but it's something I actually have kind of been thinking about. Is this kind of goes back to like taking the filter down a few notches again with self-awareness. Don't be popping off with crazy shit, especially in front of people's wives. But I think that you need to break out of your conditioning a little bit. You need to break out of the cage a little bit. If you want to get really red pill about it, break out of the matrix a little bit. What that entails, to me, is saying things like, so I can give an example for myself is like when I say that I'm a retard, when I say I'm being retarded, I was talking to my friend that I was having that dinner with, and he's black, which is relevant to the story. Not trying to virtue signal or anything, but we were talking about how when we were kids, people would always say the N word, and he thought it was funny when I said it. Soft A, whatever. Probably don't. There goes my digital footprint, whatever. But I told him, I was like, yeah, over time, as I grew out of junior high and got older and started learning more about the world and learning more about like racism, I stopped saying the N word because I didn't want to say it anymore. I was like, actually, I don't like the word. I don't like saying it. I don't feel good when I say it. I stopped finding the humor in it, I guess. I stopped saying retard because somebody told me it was bad to say, and I just didn't want to offend her, and so I stopped saying it. And so, at a certain point, I was like, I need to risk offending people a little bit because I have not found within me the reason why I shouldn't speak the way that I want to speak, because it's my life. And if a few people think a little bit less of me because I call myself a retard, you know what? Okay. They'll be all right. They'll be okay. Even though I said retard, they're going to be okay, believe it or not. And I think that maybe if nobody in your life is at least a little bit concerned that you might be a little bit crazy, I think you haven't gone far enough. I think you need to tap in a little bit more. Like, you're not retarded enough. If you're so normal that nobody ever is questioning, what if there's something a little off about him, actually? The way he talks, the way he thinks about things is a little bit. If no one is thinking that, you need to up the ante. You need to start maybe open it up a little bit more. Let the weird thoughts out. Start taking those self-judgmental thoughts captive. Oh, I don't want to say that. That's weird. Take that thought captive and go, boo! And just say it. And they might look at you funny. They might not. You might have a great conversation like I did, where you might have people looking at you sideways, which has happened to me too. But it's like I said, and it's like I'm going to keep saying, nobody can live your life for you. You can overthink your way out of a good life. My friend was explaining this, feeling that he had felt about something else, and I just realized it's how I've felt for a long time until very recently. I felt like I was a character in a video game, but somebody else was playing me. Somebody else was holding the controller. And I was just the first person view watching it all happen. And it's like once you are awake and realize you're asleep, it's like you grab the controller. And you realize how much fun you can actually have playing the game. So that's the kind of shit I've been on. Pour yourself a hot cup of joe. Do what you got to do today. Love yourself. Love other people. Be a good man. Be retarded. Don't goon. That's all.